And then there's Catelyn's chapter.
Yes.
Which is a major event in the story where she where Bran gets attacked and she gets attacked, essentially.
Right. Well, first it starts, she's pissed. Because Maester Luwin is telling her that she has to leave Bran.
Right, and she's not.
She has to like take care of things while Ned's gone. And Robb steps up because Robb's lovely.
Yeah, it's the first time we really see him step up.
Yeah. Well, because at first when everything happened, he was still in a place. I mean, he's so young, and he was still in a place where he's kind of like, I want to do things, but I am a little nervous. I'm not,
Right.
But he still steps into those shoes willingly, even though he's not always completely sure of himself, which just makes Robb just such a little sweetie.
Yeah.
He's so great. But I even think just being in Catelyn's head while all this is happening is so heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. Like, feeling like she needs this security, and so does Bran, and like if she leaves him, something's going to happen, and granted, she turns out to be right. But I just think it's really heartbreaking. Because they really make you feel, I mean, we know he's not going to die because we know the story.
Right.
But they really make you feel like he could die.
Yeah, and that I feel like she's going to die from keeping herself awake, and
yeah, she's not even sleeping.
She's just so distraught. And she, at that point, she doesn't even know what's best for Bran. I mean, Robb is coming in saying, he needs to hear them sing. Like, he needs these things. And she's just, I don't know, I feel like
she's very stubborn. Catelyn's really stubborn.
And I feel like I'm a bit still bitter about her from her previous couple chapters with her behavior.
Right.
And I know it's all coming from a place of love and, like, how much she loves
and grief.
Her kids. But she doesn't seem to be... She seems to be the kind of mom that, like, wants to help him the way she wants to help him and is not even allowing herself to go, what could he possibly need? Like, he needs his dog. Like,
like she's just so stubborn.
But she's like, nope, this is how it's going to be. This is how he's going to heal. And I think I'm so salty about her, but she makes me mad.
Well, she's kind of... This is the thing with Cat. Like, I really like Catelyn. I think she's, like, a strong woman, and I love that she stands up for herself, and she always speaks her mind, but she is kind of, like, messing up. Like, she forced Ned to go to King's Landing. She's, like, not being open to anybody else's ideas, and when she decides on something, that she thinks something is a certain way, she's so strong-willed that nobody can convince her otherwise. And that is not a great quality to have. Like, it's great to be a really strong person, but if nobody is able to sway your opinion on anything or make you make a better decision, then that's a really negative quality.
Yeah.
And I think that she is that way. I think she's overly strong-willed, and she can convince herself of anything, and no one can convince her otherwise. Because she trusts herself that much.
And that's frustrating to me.
But at the same time, I think it's the reason she was able to, like, let this guy almost cut off all of her fingers.
True.
Like, she's so...
You're right.
She's like, absolutely not. Under no circumstances are you going to get to my child. And... So again, like, while it saves him. Yeah. It is like her biggest, it's like her biggest,
weakness and her biggest
strength. That's what I was like, why can't I think of the word? It's like her greatest strength is also her greatest weakness. God, this part was the part where she was basically saving Bran, and this guy was like cutting up her fingers and everything, was way more impactful to me reading it, because it just, I mean, especially hearing it from her point of view, you just realize how painful it is. And that's I don't know, that's a hard thing to do. That's like some intense love right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, most people who they love would die for anybody that they love, but reading it was like, that sucks. That sounds so painful. That sounds so terrible and, like, scary. And she's probably just running on pure adrenaline, like, even being able to hold this guy off. It's crazy. I just thought it was way more impactful reading about it.
His blood felt like warm rain as it sprayed across her face.
Ugh. Oh! Ugh. Like, gosh, I wonder too, like, I bet Catelyn has never, like, nothing like this. Like, she's a woman of Winterfell. I guarantee, She's probably never had another person's blood on her like that. That's crazy.
Right.
I don't know if you had anything else on this chapter, but I would like to say that at the end of this chapter, when she decides to go on her little journey to find the killer with Sir Roderick, Sir Roderick is fucking awesome in the book.
Why?
I just love him. He's just so cool. I mean, we'll talk more about him later when they're actually on their journey.
Right.
And everything he does. But I just think he's really great and really smart, and he kind of always calls her on her shit, even though he can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. I just really like him.
And I'm glad I feel like, I don't know what would have broken her from her, like, crazy, like, hold on Bran other than this.
I know.
But I just feel like when they're like, what about Bran? You can't leave him. And she's like, I've done everything I can. Mic drop. Get on the boat. Wind flowing in her hair.
Honestly, she is just like a psychological enigma.
Right.
Like she's like
one to the other.
Maybe that's why I like her. We're like the same.
Probably.
Like her. I'm like, don't hate her. There are people who are crazy, and that's okay. It's okay to be
so
crazy.
Intense.
It's okay to be intense, and you work through it how you work through it. But yes, she is. I mean, I don't love Kat as much as I loved her in the TV show. It's also because the actress who plays Kat is just
You have a very strong tie to acting performances.
Yes, I do. But I think, I don't think Kat's great, but I do think most of the things, not everything. Like, this doesn't make a lot of sense that she's just like, I've done all I can do, I'm leaving. But I think most of the things that she does make sense, even though they're...
Yeah. And I think at this point she's broken out of, like, the small picture of Bran being sick and is opened her eyes to the bigger picture that, like, somebody's vying for her family.
Right.
Like, there's a much... that I think she all of a sudden understands, is re-understood, there's a much bigger problem here than Bran's legs. Like, my entire family is possibly in jeopardy.
Right. Well, and I feel like this is something that, like, my mom would do. It's like, when you're a mom and you love your kids and you're just kind of an intense person, like, she doesn't have Ned there or really anyone else to talk to, because she's not going to talk to, like, Maester Luwin or something, like, about these things.
Right.
So she doesn't have, like, a support system or her best friend or her person there. So listening to someone, like, of course she doesn't need to listen to Rob. He's a child. He doesn't know. Like, there's nobody else that understands, because this is something like my mother always says, like, but you don't understand. Like, the only person that understands is my dad. So I wonder if that's part of it. Like, I wonder, I would
she has no one to talk her out of anything
Exactly. Either. I would be interested to how she would react to these kinds of things if Ned were there, or if she was communicating with Ned.
Right.
Because right now she's supposed to be over all of her children. She's supposed to be over everyone.
Right.
So she doesn't really have anybody to convince her to do anything differently. She's kind of lost in her own mind and her grief and her anxiety.
She doesn't seem to have a confidant or a best friend.
No, she doesn't.
Or even in Ned, I mean, you know, she definitely talks more openly, but even in Ned, they still, as we've seen here,
it's
like,
kind of like
don't
a power
know each
thing
other.
Too.
Yeah. As well as you would think that, like, a married couple would, like, they've grown too, but I think she still keeps some of her thoughts and feelings hidden.
Oh, like any person would.
But I don't think she has any confidant that she, like, has a rapport with. Like, we don't see that at all.
Right. I mean, it just more be having someone that she feels is at her level, that she respects Ned, and he's like the only person that could talk her into something different, or reach a compromise with her, something like that.
Right.
So I think that's why she goes off a little cuckoo-luckoo.
We shall see what we shall see.
Yes.
That's a great line to the end of the chapter.
We shall see.
And then there's Sansa. Like, totally...
Like Mini Cat.
Yep.
Right on next.
I guess that is, you know, maybe... Like, that is a really good point, just, like, segue.
Right. A
lot of Sansa's irritating behaviors, like, it is kind of mirrored in Cat's strong-willedness, and the same with Sansa's, like, strong-willed, which, again, as we know in, like, later things that happen to her, and just, like, it proves to be a good thing for her in some situations, and it proves to be a really annoying thing.
Well, I think she wants to be just like her mom.
Yeah.
Like, Catelyn married Ned really young, and now she's married to the Lord of Winterfell, and she has all these babies, and she just, like, lived the life that Sansa wants to have.
Right.
And she's really good at being the Lady of Winterfell.
Yeah. Did you have any other notes in this chapter?
Oh, so many. Yeah, because this is the chapter where Nymeria bites Joffrey.
Right.
So, okay, what I really liked about this chapter, I'll start. I felt like the show never showed any redeeming qualities in Joffrey. Never. Like, even when he liked Marjorie, he was still awful.
Yeah.
But I felt like at the beginning of this chapter, like, I saw the kid, the youthfulness of Joffrey. Like, it's like, he's terrible because, you know, nature and nurture and all these things, but he was, like, kind of sweet. And I think he really did, at least at the beginning of this chapter, it really seemed like he did like Sansa and was also wrapped up in the, yes, this is what we're meant to do. Like, I'm going to make this happen. And the whole reason that he
really
went
built
crazy,
their relationship a lot more here.
Yes. And when his pride's hurt, that's when he turns into a little monster.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really cool to see this side of him, or see him, I don't know, try to connect with someone and try to make a good impression on someone. Because he doesn't do that ever in the show. You never see him try to make a good impression with anyone. Because he's mostly king the whole time, so he doesn't need to make a good impression.
And he's doing it for other people. Like, they're alone and, you know, or somewhat alone. And my betrothed can drink as much as she wants. And, like, I don't know, he's trying to court her.
Right.
Like, not in a sassy way, it doesn't seem like. In a very, like, genuine, like, I'm a kid, this is a pretty girl, we're supposed to get married, I like her, let's build this relationship.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like to me. At least.
Yeah, no, I
mean, it could have been, and I definitely think it's something that he's seen, you know, other people do. But I just
he tries to protect her. Someone's there. You're safe with me. And he, like, draws his sword, even though obviously
like,
he doesn't know how to fight.
He wants to be a man. Like, he wants to do all the, like, he wants to be king and be a man and have a woman and do all, I don't know, I felt like he was more human in the book. Because I feel like in the show, he's just the worst. There's nothing I like about him. Not saying there's anything I necessarily like about him, but I don't know. Seeing him the way he does with Sonny, I'm like, oh, he's just a kid, and he just wants to do all these adult things. And I really liked the quote on page 143, which I just feel like is so very telling of Sansa, and I love how we get to explore so much of what Sansa's like, even deeper, and so much of what Arya is like in this chapter. But when it says all she wanted was for things to be nice and pretty the way they were in the songs, why couldn't Arya be sweet and delicate and kind?
Yeah.
She would have liked a sister like that.
Damn.
Shade.
No, but it's
so
true. Like,
shade.
But that also shows, again, her youngness and her naivety. Like, that idea that she is in this place where, like, that is really what she wants. I wish it could all be like the songs. Like, this. Yeah. Like, she doesn't even think that's a weird thing to want. Like,
no.
I wish, like, it's totally normal to want that. And that's just reinforces how young she is and how naive she is to the world.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. She just has an idea for how everything's supposed to work. So when she doesn't, that's why she acts out the way that she acts. Exactly.
Or is really strong-headed, like...
Even, and then before that happens, and I was making notes about this because I was trying to keep everyone in order, she meets Sir Barristan, Renly, and Ilyn Payne in this chapter. And then I, like, made a couple notes about how she described all of them because I just wanted to remember. It was crazy to me that she met all of them so quickly, and then it was like one sentence after the other, and I was like, whoa, I was about to forget everything about all those people that are important people.
Right.
But it says Sir Barristan, she describes him as a real knight. And then Renly, beautiful, same way like she reacted to Loras. How funny.
Right.
And then Ilyn Payne terrified her. I put death already. I don't know what that means. And then she met Clegane, who grabbed her, Sandor Clegane. Just like, I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting scene, so I wanted to write down. And this is when they see the dire wolf. So this is when they're like, Joffrey, go protect her, blah, blah. I don't know, I just thought it was a really interesting scene, so I wanted to write down how she felt about everyone, because I love the scene that we'll talk about later between her and the Hound.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But just wanted to make a note of that. And
I think the role reversal at the very end of the chapter, where Joffrey gets hurt and she's like,
yes.
She's like, don't be afraid, I'll bring help to you. And she like tries to tenderly reach out the same way like he tried to protect her. And he spat at her and said, don't touch me.
His pride was hurt. He's so embarrassed. Like it is the most childlike. It's the most childlike reaction you can have.
Yeah, like immediately so mad. Like 5 seconds ago I wanted to protect you, and now I hate you.
Well, yeah, because he's like he was the most embarrassed ever in front of the girl he likes, and now he's like, well, I don't like you anymore. I can't have anything to do with you anymore.
Right.
Like,
because you saw me.
Because you saw me lose to your sister. Awkward. I hate your sister. I can't love anything that your sister loves. But it's also cool too because they talk so much about the Lady and Nymeria in this chapter, and talking about how the wolves take after their owners, which I think is interesting foreshadowing if you think about it. Because in this chapter, this is when Nymeria leaves, and then Arya will soon be on the run for a really long time too. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, did you have any other feelings?
I think that's it. We can wrap up here.
I felt like they did a good job with this scene too in the show. Do you know what I mean? Like with Micah and everything. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, until next time.
Sansa's a little boo boo.
Sansa's little boo boo.
Sansa's a little. I just like Sansa. I just feel bad that she is the way she is.
Well, you get, like, I don't know, I feel much more, especially seeing her dynamic with her sister,
right,
and how she feels about her sister. I just feel, again, I feel like I'm getting the reasoning behind people's, like, actions, and seeing them young.
There's more of a struggle because you feel, you're like, oh, I see that she really wants to love her sister.
Yeah.
But she just
and she
feels
really
like she
just
can't.
And the idea, like, you hear her thoughts of saying, like, I wish it was like a song, like, I wish Ari was just pretty.
Right, like she's just
and when you're not in their heads, you're just seeing them be annoying, and it's like, ugh, that girl's annoying, the same way, you know, you feel about other people in real life. Whereas here, when you're seeing into her head, you can sympathize with, I've been a sister.
Right.
Like, I know what it's like to think that about, you know, my little sister and go, oh, I just wish she was this way, and I've been nasty to my sister. So, like, it makes me sympathize with Sansa or any of the characters more to hear, oh, right, there is a thought process behind it. There is a reason they're like that, instead of just judging them at face value for their actions. Right. And I think that's what's really cool in the book is I feel very differently about a lot of the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Based on humanizing them more by their thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about that. Like, I really love Renly Baratheon in the books, but we'll talk more about that later. He's the coolest dude. But anyway.
Until next time, we love you guys.
We love you. Goodbye.
Cheers.